Well, first off, they just provide 3 or 4 visitor spaces for those residents. That situation happens, I know, at the Northside Fitness Center a lot. That parking is full, especially during PT testing. I personally had to park off in the grass up in the woods just so I could, walk down and take my fitness test. So it's more of a CE type thing to figure out where we can get more spaces.
And I'll defend the engineers on this one, because after last month's with the barrage of questions that came in, they are going out there and relooking at a lot of housing parking and figuring out how to get visitor parking area. So they're working through that. They're trying to expand. I drove around with CE Commander, I think last week, actually looking at areas where we can actually put more parking spots in, or we can cut the curb out and actually add another spot. So they're working that aggressively. Hopefully the next couple of weeks we'll have a better solution for you to go down that path.
Very good. And yeah, parking's always it's always a hot topic here on the show. And thank you, Chief, for throwing some folks into the fire there. That's the best kind of training, right?
Bet, man. And he gave a good answer.
We've got another question. This one concerns internet. I know a lot of folks on base have different options available than folks off base. Heather says, "Sir, can you allow an off base internet provider to compete for our on base internet needs?"
Well, we kind of actually do that already.
Yeah,
the on-base internet needs is an off-base provider. It's a commercial from or a commercial carrier, I should say. The problem is that there is not enough business to really warrant, competing folks. And if there was, I don't think there's enough interest in the contract, because you got to do, some wiring and that sort of thing. And there's a whole lot of infrastructure. So to build dual infrastructure across the base costs a whole lot of money for companies. And if they're not going to have enough business to warrant it, it's not really in their best interest for such a small percentage of folks. Now, we've been working really hard on the internet, really for the last couple years on this base. And I know it's made a whole lot of improvement in terms of the bandwidth and that sort of thing, and the speed. Certainly since I got here a little over a year ago, and I think even more so if you went back a half a year or so before that. Mm-hmm. And, Commander's OpenLine, I think, used to, by the judge of it, multiple questions a session. And now we're getting a question every now and then, because this is, I think, the first internet question we've gotten in a few months. So that's good reviews. But I don't think it's perfect yet. I still find times where, trying to stream or something at night, and, of course, you're a little bit hostage to prices for Verizon, right? Yeah, Verizon prices. But bottom line, unless you know something different.
No, sir. I know for a fact that the exchange continues to negotiate and work that out with a good contractor. I know for a fact that over time it's going to only continue to get better. And I will tell you, I think they follow us after this thing. I would say ask that question if the exchange comes here to ask that question to the AP's manager. And
I know Doug Vasilich, the AP's manager, he's aggressive about working this issue. Mm-hmm. He doesn't, it's a contract, so it's not like they're his folks, but he plays intermediary very aggressively. And I know he's put out many times that if you're not getting the service that you need to, just call him direct.
Right. Absolutely. And I'll say that on the internet thing that I've got the Verizon, I'm on base, I've got the Verizon, and I think it's comparable not only in speed, but in price to what you've got back in the States. So we don't have the robust competition that you might have in the States, but it's reasonably comparable overall. Another quick note out there is that next hour we don't have the AFES and exchange folks coming in here. They've got their own business to be taken care of today.
Okay.
So we've got nothing on them today this coming hour. We do have another Facebook question to get to. Jessica asks, why are people being told there are no well baby appointments and they need to be put on a waiting list when they are calling a month in advance, or they are being told the schedule hasn't been made yet for the appointments and to call back in a couple of days? Myself and many others I know have run into this issue. Can anything be done to fix this?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to take that one.
Right.
And I think it's a good question, and it's not an uncommon question in general with the med group. But making appointments by the month seems to be an issue here. And you call and you're told to call back at a different time, and then the appointments are full. That's not an uncommon problem here. So I think that's one that we really need a good answer to, and that we're going to need to take back and get an answer.
And we're challenged with limited providers that can only see so many folks during the day. Of course, we don't have great options to go off base for that kind of thing because of the language difficulties and that sort of stuff. And then as we're juggling, deployments and manning, I know they are working real hard at the mid group, but we're going to go back and take a look and just see kind of holistically how that process works and see, it may not change the number of appointments that are available and that sort of thing, but it does change, potentially how we communicate with folks and understand, and also advocate for the manning that we need to take care of our community.
Right. Very good. So that's a good. Thank you for the question, Jessica. We'll get an answer and we'll follow that up.
I don't have an answer for it now. We'll have to.
But we'll look at it, and so that's as good an answer as we can ask for. Now, Chief, I know that the CFC haunted house is your baby. That's your thing.
It is.
You love it.
Yeah.
And we've got a question about haunted houses. Christina says, how would one go about getting a haunted house open for the full month of October, where each weekend the money made gets donated to a different organization? It would be a huge fundraising event, and Meyer people, maybe many.
I think more.
More people. There you go.
That's what I was looking at.
More people would be allowed to attend if scheduling conflicts with the one weekend haunt like this year.
Yeah, I think, well, one of the things about October is traditionally CFC. So any kind of fundraising that goes on in October is devoted to CFC, which is a good thing. And we choose to use the CFC specific donation to go back into Misawa youth sports, which is where all the money from this haunted house will go. I think it's a good question. I think, what I hear around the base is that we're busy and that we're asking a lot of our folks. And this is run by all volunteers, and none of these organizations are getting anything out of this except to raise money for Misawa Youth Sports. So they are getting something out of it, but it's for the community. The 3 days that we're running it, we're digging deep to get volunteers for that. So I think to run something for an entire month would be a bit of a challenge. Not impossible, but I think we're kind of taking baby steps with this. Last year was when we started it, and we're going again this year. This year we're not running it on Halloween because we got some complaints last year with the parents that volunteered, hey, I really would rather be with my child right now, which is, of course, something that every parent wants to do. So this year we're running it the 3 days before Halloween. We'll see how successful it is. And then I think at the most we can maybe look at adding another weekend to it, maybe do the weekend before Halloween, and maybe do it 2 weekends. But again, a lot of feedback I get from folks is that they're very busy right now, and so we have to watch about how many times we dip into that volunteer pool.
Yeah, and I'll throw in another little philosophy thing here too for the person who wrote this in is, what I'd love to see is, hey, can we do this some more? And oh, by the way, I'm willing to help organize, work, and make all this stuff happen. Because we need folks who are invested in part of the community. It's easy to ask, hey, it would be great, to have a haunted house, for 4 weekends. But just like the chief said, that takes a lot of manpower and people to do. And so we need people to step up. We need people to organize, to find volunteers, to do all that sort of thing, and not just want to be able to show up, when it's convenient for them for the haunted house. And so for the callers who want this, love to do it, but we got to, show me the money, show me the people, show me the investment we want to have. And then I also suspect largely that if we spread it out, we have a relatively limited population on base. I'm not sure if we spread this particular thing out too much. Maybe another weekend might be good. But across all the month of October, I think we'd end up with a lot of dead time, and the bang for the buck on volunteers versus attendees would probably not be as good. But we can certainly take a look at it. Maybe, once you get it made up, it doesn't take a whole lot of extra effort to let it sit for a few days and do one more night on another weekend if there's.
Although it takes a lot of effort for the volunteers, I guarantee you, Chief Beaumont, when he gets into that Dorothy from the Wizard of Oz costume, takes a lot of time each day for him to do that.
Right, absolutely. So, yeah, what I meant is letting it sit for 5 days between another weekend or something is free time that sits there. You still need all the volunteer work to do.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Christina.
I don't even know if I can go on.
I don't want to see that picture, to be honest with you.
Well, how about this? We'll do one more question.
Scary, though.
We'll do one more question. We'll take a short music break and regroup. Right now, this question, we talked speed a little bit earlier, and this gentleman, Ian, wants to talk speed a little bit more. Ian asks, is it possible to open a strip of any taxiway for legal and safe racing, i.e. drifting, drag racing, car shows, and so forth? I know at other bases this happens once a month, but wasn't sure if this had been brought up here in the past.
I have heard that at other base, to be honest with you. I know it sounds off the wall, but I have heard that. Now, to my knowledge, the runway and taxiway here is busy 7 days a week. There is no time to be shutting it down to do
Yeah,
something
we have
like
a
that.
mission.
Yeah, probably need to do some research on that one. I'm not going to say no, because there's a lot of things that are potentially possible. But I'm certainly not going to say yes on the air without doing some research. And I guess what I'd ask the caller to do is probably need to contact us offline.
John.Griffin
Yep.
at Misawa. Drop me an email. We'll set up a time. We'll talk with
we'll
safety
see the
and a couple of
details, understand, and maybe how another base does it, and what the demand signal would be. Once again, sounds like a great idea. If it's something we can do legally without too much manpower input. This is a fighter base too, so we worry a lot more about foreign objects and letting vehicles and stuff on the taxiways, because just even some real small thing down an F-16 intake is a lot different than at a cargo base or something like that. So, but I'm not going to say no.
I think you say Colonel Minto and Colonel Shaneyfeld may want to race each other. You never know.
Yeah. And as long as I can drag in an F-16, I'm.
Yeah, man on the street's opinion on this.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think, Sir Wyman?
Staff Sergeant Wyman, what do you got for us? Are you a racer?
No. However, a couple of my peers are racers, and like the colonel said, with the FOD thing, it with the mission and stuff, that just seems like kind of a stretch to use on the base. I know the guys I work with, they go about an hour south of Misawa to a racetrack, I believe in Nango Town.
Okay.
Where it's like a weekend trip for these guys, where they get their racing fix and come back to work happy. So they might want to look into that.
That's what I was wondering is where are there sort of out the gate local places to do that. But if it's an hour drive, that it's a stretch for some people. But if you're going to race, then you can drive an hour to race, I guess. I don't know, but it's very good that we've got that good answer that we'll see.
I'd have to understand the details a lot more before I was willing to.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't know what goes on in all that stuff. Who knows? I don't. But I do know that we're going to take a short music break.